Some of the best investments I ever made didn't look like much at first. Same goes for people. And sometimes, even the men we once called enemies. In this story, I'm going to tell you about a young executive who came to my beach searching for silence, but found something louder than success. About a friendship I thought I'd buried for good, and the unexpected return of a man who once betrayed me. And through it all, a lesson I learned the hard way. About rhythm, regret, and why power without peace is just noise with good marketing. So grab your coffee, take a breath. Because this one's not just about business. It's about the people we become while chasing what we think we want. And the courage it takes to slow down, just long enough to finally hear the truth. I used to believe the loudest man in the room was the strongest. Now I live where no one speaks, and I've never felt more powerful. There's something about this place. The way the morning sun bleeds through the haze just above the water. The way the tide comes in whether you're ready or not. The way the seagulls scream without asking for permission. Out here, on this stretch of forgotten coastline, silence isn't just peaceful, it's corrective. I'm not running from anything. I've already outrun most of the world. But these days, I find myself trying to explain a few things to men who are still sprinting, without asking where they're going. A few weeks ago, someone clipped a piece of one of my older podcasts, just a few seconds where I said I was the anti-Goggins. It was just a passing comment, but apparently it caught fire. The algorithm loved it. The tribes took sides. Some said I was dismissing Goggins' message. Others said I was finally saying what they'd always wanted to say. Enough with the pain obsession. Enough with the rage. The truth? Neither side got it right. Because when I said anti-Goggins, I didn't mean opposite as in opposition. I meant inverse, like anti-gravity. Same laws, different direction. That distinction might sound small to some, but in business, just like in life, missing the nuance is how fortunes are lost. Or worse, how identities are lost. When I was younger, I used to hit everything at 100 miles an hour. Markets, negotiations, relationships. I thought if I was relentless enough, if I just pushed harder than anyone else, I'd win. And you know what? It worked. At least for a while. I built things most men only dream about. Deals, empires, rooms full of people hanging on my every word. I became the man they called when the stakes were highest and the nerves were fried. But I was always chasing something invisible. And I didn't know how to stop. Therefore, when I finally sold everything and walked away, I thought I was stepping into peace. But what I found was withdrawal. Withdrawal from an identity built on volume, on velocity. It was like stepping off a treadmill that had been running for 40 years straight. I didn't know how to stand still. That's when the waves started teaching me. Out here, I don't wake up to alarms or meetings. I wake up to light, to warmth, to the sound of my dog stretching at the foot of the bed. And still, on mornings like today, I feel the old world creeping in. That's why I lit this cigar. That's why I'm talking to you now. Because maybe you're in that place too. Maybe you're not Goggins. Maybe you're not me. Maybe you're somewhere in between, or somewhere completely different. But you've been told that there's only one way to be great. Grind harder, burn the boats, out-hustle your ghosts. And maybe, just maybe, that advice is killing the best parts of you. I've seen men destroy their health, their families, even their fortune, trying to prove they could take the pain. But pain without purpose is just punishment. There was a boy I went to school with, back when I was still skinny, still unsure, still trying to earn a seat at the table. One day, we got into a fight, or almost did. He walked up to me, twice my size, full of confidence. I shoved him with everything I had. Open palms, heart pounding, throat dry. He didn't flinch. "You know I could flatten you, right?" he said. And I said, "Yeah, I know, but you'll have to actually do it, because I won't let you have it for free." He looked at me, shook his head, and walked away. I didn't realize it at the time, But that was the first business lesson I ever learned. The market doesn't reward fear, it rewards conviction. But conviction is not the same as aggression. Therefore, I spent the next few decades learning the difference. I know a lot of men out there are listening to Goggins, to me, to everyone who's shouting loud enough to land in your feed. But here's the thing no one tells you. You're not supposed to copy any of us. You're supposed to copy the clarity we found. Goggins found his through motion. I found mine through stillness. You'll have to find your own lens, your own formula, your own pace. Because no matter what anyone tells you, balance isn't weakness, it's mastery. And mastery doesn't always look like a bloody knuckle. Sometimes, it looks like a calm face and a cigar burning slow in the wind. So no, I'm not against David Goggins. But one day I realized the man I was trying to beat wasn't him. It was me. And that changes everything. The truth is, I didn't change all at once. No one really does. We just break in places no one else sees. When I first left the game, I thought it'd feel like a clean cut, like flipping a switch. I imagined I'd finally sleep through the night, finally eat slow, finally take my coffee without checking the futures. But for the first 6 months, I kept a terminal open on my phone, just in case. I told myself it was harmless. Old habits die hard, right? But every chart I looked at pulled me back into an identity I wasn't sure how to let go of. I started talking to ghosts. No, ghosts started talking to me. Voices from the boardroom. Partners I'd buried with NDAs and silence. Women I should have fought for. Men I should have fired sooner. Sometimes the loudest things in life are the things you never say out loud. I remember sitting on the beach one morning, watching the tide crawl in like it had nowhere else to be. That's when she passed again. The woman in the wide-brimmed hat. She walked by every morning around 6:30, didn't smile, didn't stop. Just walked, slow, steady, barefoot on the wet sand. That day, I finally nodded. She didn't nod back, but she noticed. And for some reason, that small, silent transaction felt more human than some of the deals I'd closed for 9 figures. You spend decades mastering leverage, reading people, calculating risk, but you forget how to be present. You forget how to sit in silence and not think of yield. And the crazy part is, I was never trying to be that guy. I was just trying to survive in a world that rewarded noise. I had partners who prided themselves on 4 a.m. emails, guys who ate stress for breakfast and confusion for dessert. They thought stillness was surrender. I used to think that too. One of them, let's call him Jackson, was a machine. Ex-military, shaved head, body like he'd never taken a day off since high school. He ran on caffeine, nicotine, and vengeance. Never said good morning, never missed a shot. I respected the hell out of him. Until the day I found him staring out a window in our Manhattan office, motionless, jaw clenched. "You all right?" I asked. He didn't answer for a while, just kept looking out. Then he said, "I don't know who I am when the war's over." He left the firm 3 weeks later. Bought land in Montana, built a cabin, never came back. At the time, I didn't get it, but now I do. Therefore, when people ask why I live here, why I walked away, I tell them I didn't walk from the world. I walked toward myself. See, there's this myth that once you're successful, you've figured it out. But what they don't tell you is that the version of you that earned the wealth might not be the version that can enjoy it. That's why so many men burn out. Not because they didn't make it, but because they never stopped behaving like they hadn't. And here's the thing I've learned about money. It's not just a tool. It's a mirror. If you're empty, it'll echo that emptiness back at you. If you're lost, it'll hand you 1,000 distractions disguised as destinations. If you're afraid, it'll give you more things to protect and more reasons to feel unsafe. I had a mentor once. He wasn't rich, but he was free. He told me something that didn't make sense at the time. The highest return isn't ROI, it's peace. I rolled my eyes. Thought it was cute, romantic, naive. Now I think it might be the most sophisticated thing anyone's ever said to me. Peace isn't passive. Peace is earned. You don't inherit it. You don't IPO into it. You don't outsource it. You earn peace by fighting the right wars and knowing when to put down the sword. I want to say this to any man out there who feels like he has to be the hammer every day. You don't. There are other tools. Tools that build instead of break. And if you don't learn how to use them, life will keep handing you situations that can't be solved with brute force. Business taught me to win. The beach taught me to rest. But love taught me to listen. I had a woman once who told me, "You talk like everything's a chess match. I just want to play cards with you." I didn't get it then. Now I do. You don't need to win every hand. You just need to stay at the table with the right people. People think my story is about escape, but it's not. It's about return. Return to a version of me that existed before the noise, before the grind, before I thought I had to become someone else to matter. And the irony? I've never had more influence than I do now. Just sitting here, barefoot with a camera and a cup of black coffee. The markets don't know my name anymore, but somehow, the men do. And I want to tell you about one of those men. A younger version of me, but louder, faster, angrier. He showed up on my beach one morning, and what happened next changed everything. He looked like trouble the moment I saw him. Not trouble in the criminal sense, trouble in the way a man burns when no one ever taught him how to cool down. He was pacing near the driftwood line, barefoot, shirtless, phone in hand, yelling at someone who couldn't hear him anymore. I didn't mean to listen, but the wind carried everything. "You said it'd be done by Thursday." "No, you said that." Another pause. "I don't care what the board thinks. I built this, not them." Then he saw me. I nodded. He didn't nod back. Just like I hadn't years ago. I didn't approach him that day, but the next morning he was back. No phone this time. Just a pair of sunglasses and a restless silence that didn't match the waves. I nodded again. This time, he nodded back. 3 days later, he walked over. "You live here?" he asked. "I do." He squinted. "You look familiar." "I'm not." He paused. "You sound familiar." I smiled. "That I'll take." His name was Seth, 34. Former VP at a tech company you've definitely used, possibly cursed at. He'd cashed out of a nightmare merger, bought a Porsche he didn't like, and now, he said, he was trying to remember why he started any of this. "You ever feel like success just happened to the wrong version of you?" he asked. I stared at him. "Every day for 10 years. He laughed. But it wasn't joy. It was recognition. We started walking the beach together. No agenda. No therapy talk. Just steps in rhythm with the tide. Eventually, he asked what I used to do. I helped companies figure out who they were, or at least who they pretended to be. He smirked. "So you were in branding?" I chuckled. "No, I was in truth." That got him thinking. Over the next few weeks, Seth opened up. He was raised by a man who never hugged him, a father who only said "good job" when the scoreboard agreed. By the time he was 18, Seth had mastered the art of appearing fine. By 25, he was a millionaire. By 30, he was screaming into phones. He had everything he wanted, except himself. One morning, he asked if I regretted anything. "You have time?" I said. He nodded. So I told him. I told him about the deal I didn't walk away from because I was too afraid to lose. I told him about the woman I didn't fight for, because I thought love should never need defending. I told him about the son I barely knew, because I thought presence was a luxury I'd earn later. Then I asked him something. "What's your pace?" He blinked. "My what?" "Your pace," I repeated. "Everyone has one. The market has one. Love has one. Your soul has one. What's yours? He didn't answer, but he came back the next morning with running shoes. Too fast, he said, breathless after his jog. Everything's too fast. We laughed, but something shifted after that. He started asking better questions. Therefore, I knew he was ready. I gave him a cigar one evening and told him to sit. No phones, no future, just now. We sat in silence for nearly an hour. When he finally spoke, it wasn't with urgency. It was with honesty. I don't think I ever wanted money, he said. I think I wanted my dad to see me. I nodded. Most men don't want wealth. They want witness. He looked at me. You think it's too late to fix that? No, I said, but it might be too late to wait. That night he booked a flight home. And before he left, he turned to me and said, I'm not sure what this place is, but it's doing something to me. I didn't say anything. I just handed him another cigar and said, bring this to your father. Light it with him, even if he doesn't get it. But he doesn't smoke. That's not the point. 2 weeks later, Seth messaged me a photo. It was him and his father, sitting on the back porch. No cigars lit, just the two of them, quiet. He wrote, we didn't say much, but it felt like something started. That's when I realized I wasn't just rebuilding myself out here. I was becoming a mirror for men who'd never seen themselves clearly. Seth thought he came here to escape, but what he really came for was to return to the version of himself he'd buried under achievement. That beach has seen more healing than most therapy rooms. But one morning, something different happened. A storm rolled in, not just over the water, but inside me. And what it brought to shore was a ghost from my past I wasn't ready to face. It started with footsteps, heavy, measured, familiar. I was in the hammock, eyes half closed, the storm clouds still bruising the sky. The waves were louder than usual, and the air carried that electric silence you only feel when something's about to change. Then I heard his voice. You still drink that god-awful black coffee? My heart paused. Not skipped. Paused. I looked up, and there he was. James, my oldest friend, and the last man I ever wanted to see again. We'd built our first fund together. Shared hotel rooms, red-eye flights, handshakes with men who could end you with a phone call. He was sharper than me, smarter maybe, but colder. And one day, I caught him using client data to secure side deals. I confronted him. He denied it. I told the board. He lost everything. I lost a friend. That was 20 years ago. I saw one of your videos, he said. Didn't think it was you at first. Then I heard the voice. I stood slowly, not sure whether to offer a handshake or a warning. He noticed. I'm not here to fight, he said. I didn't think you were, I lied. We sat on the deck. He looked older, like life had stopped protecting his edges. His hands trembled slightly as he picked up the coffee I poured him. I deserved what happened, he said. But it took me years to admit it, and even longer to stop blaming you. I stayed silent. Sometimes the hardest part of peace is letting it be real. He continued. I lost everything, but gained a different kind of clarity. The kind I never would have found if you hadn't done what you did. He paused. I hated you for a long time, but I think I hated myself more. I looked out toward the sea. We all carry wars no one sees. He pulled something from his pocket. A photo. Us. 30 years younger. Arms around each other. The night after our first big win. I kept this, he said. Burned a lot of bridges. But I couldn't burn this. I took the photo. Held it like an artifact from a civilization I barely remembered. What do you want from me, James? He looked at me. Nothing. Then, maybe just a place to sit for a while. I'm tired. So I let him stay. For 3 days, we didn't talk much. We fished, we smoked, we watched storms. And somewhere in the silence, the forgiveness arrived. Not loudly, not ceremonially, just arrived. Sometimes healing isn't loud. Sometimes it's just presence, uninterrupted. One morning I woke up and he was gone. No note, no goodbye, just the photo, taped to the deck railing, and a cigar, unlit, beside it. It was enough. I sat down that evening, camera rolling, unsure if I'd speak. Then I did. I told the story of Seth. Then I told the story of James. And then I told mine. Not the press release version, not the highlights, the true story of the kid who thought rage was strength, of the man who mistook movement for meaning, of the father who arrived too late, of the friend who betrayed, and the one who forgave. And I ended with this. Life isn't a race, it's a rhythm. And when you learn your rhythm, you stop competing, and you start composing. That video went viral, but that wasn't the point. The point was, I'd finally said it, all of it. And the weight I didn't know I was still carrying, it left. I used to believe the loudest man in the room was the strongest. Now I know better. Now I believe the strongest man is the one who can sit in silence and still be whole. Don't chase noise, chase your rhythm, then teach it to the ones who've never heard it. Thanks for sticking around. If this story made you pause, even for a second, then maybe it did its job. I don't have a course to sell you, no funnel, no pitch. Just this. Keep doing the work, the quiet kind, the kind no one applauds, but that makes you someone worth being when no one's watching. Take care of your peace, protect your rhythm, and when the time comes, pass it on. I'll see you next time. Same beach, same chair, same truth.